Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Bill Hitchcock, and once again we have got a power pack show for you today. We got a fishing report to get out to you. Of course, the word for the day is drum. Okay, 2 words for the day is drum and wahoo. Okay, let's make it 3 and 4 words of the day: drum, wahoo, flounder, and speckled trout. Also, I've got something real fascinating I want to show you. That it is a growth chart of a dolphin, of a mahi. It goes from that big to that big in a year. It's absolutely amazing stuff that I want to get out to you. Got some news, some very important news, especially for the folks in the Oak Island area. I want to get out to you. And this happened this morning. This is Doghouse Sport Fishing Charters heading on out to sea.
Mornings like this. Goodbye, beach. We're going fishing.
I show that to tease and tempt all of us because today, on Monday, July 14th, it's blowing like 5 knots. It's just a beautiful day, and there he is cruising on out. And by the way, Doghouse Sport Fishing Charters does that almost every morning. He shows the conditions as he's heading on out. Now, let's go into the Dolphin. Look at this. Look at these pictures. There's a couple, 3 pictures we'll show you here at first. First off, you can see a little baby dolphin at 16 days. It goes to 55 days. It's 1 pound. But in 149 days, in about 3 months, it's up to 4 pounds. Now, look at this. At 226 days, it's 7 pounds, and just under a year, 293 days, it's 16.5 pounds, or 360 days, just under a year, 24 pounds. So that bad boy went from that to fat. But take a look at this. When you look at it, when it goes to 33 months, a couple of 3 years old, it's 80 pounds. I mean, that is some rapid growth of a fish. Again, the mahi, the dolphin. It reminds me, by the way, although the growth isn't quite like that with red drum, if you see a 40, and you're about to, a 40 to 50 inch red drum, it's probably 40 to 50 years old. So it'll grow real fast this way at the beginning, and then it gets what they call shoulders. It gets fat and round. Now let's head on with the fishing report. Nags Head Pier. This 14-year-old young man named Christian is having a great morning on the pier, catching triggers and bluefish. Now, what caught me about that is triggerfish. You don't normally hear about triggerfish being caught off of a pier. Also, Tommy Mago capitalizing on Spanish mackerel as well. And again, that was a Nags Head Pier. Jeanette's Pier talks about black sea bass, bluefish, pigfish, sand perch, sea mullets, and sheep's head. And if anybody's going, whoa, what's a pigfish? That picture we just showed you, that's a pigfish, colloquially called a hogfish. That's usually what you hear, and it does, make that grunty sound like a drum or a sea mullet or a croaker does. Now, Speechless Sport Fishing out of Pirates Cove in Manio. They say, so thankful for this beautiful bunch of yellowfin tuna and these awesome people. Yeah, I like hearing that. Also, Rigged Up Charters out of Nags Head. They're out and about saying, had an epic day. Nice fish, all those tuna, plus a wahoo and a white marlin. Now, I want to bring back to your attention, I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. Look at that picture. Look there. There is a tuna head. Really more than, look how big that bite is. That's got a shark, but for some reason, whenever we see things like that, it is always the tuna that Mr. Sharky likes to go after. So if you go shark fishing, use tuna as bait. I don't know. Outcast Fishing Charters out of Juan Cheese. It said, fun little morning, not a boat in sight. Now listen to this. The speckled trout, it says 1 hour limit of good keepers of the speckled trout. It's quite a few almost, so they're catching some that are just undersized. And it said 4 or 5 over the heart herders. So once you get past your limit. And I want to remind everybody with speckled trout, since it just opened back up a couple of weeks ago, that in North Carolina, the recreational creel limit for speckled trout is 3 fish per day per person. They have to be between 14 and 20 inches. That's the slot limit. But you can have 1 fish that's over 26 inches. So you can keep 3 fish. 2 of them can be 14 to 20 inches. 1 of them can be over 26 inches. So congratulations to those folks. Doghouse Sport Fishing, look at this. We just showed you going out this morning. This is them coming back a couple of days prior.
We got some escort. Oh, we got them on both sides. Nice. Got the whole pack.
Doghouse Sport Fishing Charters having their own personal little escort on in. And also look at this. Yesterday, tuna, dolphin, and wahoo. Now, this is quite interesting. This is an individual. His name is Ricky Wysong. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right, out of Nag's Head, fishing off of a pier. He says catching dinner at breakfast. Take a look at this. What's most interesting about that catch, did you notice it was foul hooked? You know, the Spanish mackerel's going this way and the hook was this way, so when he's trying to bring it in this way, it's trying to go that way, so it feels like a bigger fish or a much greater fight. Congratulations to him. Now, not out of Oregon Inlet, in the Oregon Inlet area, Captain Clay McPherson with Above Sea Level Adventures. That's above letter C level adventures. Amazing video from nighttime drum fishing. Take a look at this.
I was trying to break them off. I didn't understand anything even with the drum. Oh yeah.
Good shit, Cliff. Let's go, baby. First pull of the year.
Captain Clay says, caught at 9:52 p.m. around Oregon Inlet on cut mullet. Now listen to this. They were fishing in 1.5 feet of water. The fish measured 51 inches. He says we got broke off by several massive bluefish as well, and of course you deal with a bunch of stingrays, which you will when you're doing that type of fishing. Always running charters, so I had to come out and have some fun with the boys. That was Captain Clay McPherson, Above Sea Level Charters. Go on Facebook for Captain or Clay McPherson or Captain's Above Sea Level Adventures. I said charters, I think, the other time, but it's Above Sea Level Adventures. Thank you very much for sending that video on in and giving us that fishing report information. Now, speaking of fishing report information, we're going to Hatteras Island. Hatteras Jack in Rodanthe said Jeff caught this 4.5 inch red drum today on his custom Century Wrecker 6 power with a bucktail. Now, there's 2 large drum that were just caught. We just saw Captain Clay fishing with cut mullet. Here we've got the folks with a bucktail, which, by the way, bucktail, it's a great flounder lure, by the way. I learned that from Jimmy Price when he used to have Wildlife Bait and Tackle out of Southport years ago, 30 plus years ago, fishing for flounder with bucktails. Now, Frisco Rod and Gun says out of the surf, the catching croaker and sea mullets, shark, Spanish mackerel, and the sound, bluefish, sheep's head, speckled trout, inshore, albacore, red drum, sea bass, and triggerfish. Offshore, the big boats had the most luck with wahoo today. Wahoo is the magic word of today. So they had some scattered blackfin tuna and dolphin. Releases included 2 blue marlin and 6 sailfish. All right, good time sport fishing. Said Kevin with the last one of the year. It's talking about the snapper. Says pretty class of fish. Beautiful day. We had a 2-day year season for red snapper. A lot of guys headed out and did very, very well with them. Now, longer day sport fishing. Speaking of snapper, here they are at the dock. Okay, Hatteras Harbor Marina says the Wahoo fishing picked up with a good amount being caught. The Dolphin were scattered and had a few blackfin tuna, several blue and white marlin released, as well as sailfish. I don't know why my lips aren't working now. He says pretty red drum in close. That's inshore. That's not in the sound. Ocracoke, trade winds bait and tackle. Jordan Brooks landed this incredible 27.5-pound, 3-ounce, 27.5-inch and 5-pound, 3-ounce speckled trout, fishing the sound behind Ocracoke Island. Dream Girl Sport Fishing. This is on July 12th. Said we had the pleasure of hosting some exceptional individuals from Eastern North Carolina. Wahoo, there we go, was featured on our menu today. We had a half-day excursion with some delightful young ladies, and it was a treat to be fishing during snapper season, allowing us to catch and keep these fish. We are only permitted to catch these fish 2 days a year. Yeah, well. All right, in the Crystal Coast area, I do want to make mention large flounder are hanging around the Coast Guard station at Fort Macon. Hint, hint. Fin Chaser Charters out of Atlantic Beach. Baylor Dolphin. They say good fishing today. Thanks for the opportunity, guys. Chasing Tails. You know something's happening with those guys out of Atlantic Beach. They're saying red drum in the marsh for one family and Spanish mackerel in the ocean for the other. Shop captains Nick Nance, Hunter Bolton, and Daniel Griffey enjoyed having all y'all on board today. So the Spanish mackerel are right out front of Bogue Banks and the other fish are right behind Bogue Banks. Break Water Charters, Morehead City. Double Wahoo on our 3/4 day trip. You just never know what you're going to catch. Now, I really like that. Double Wahoo, you don't hear that very often. And again, that should tell you the type of Wahoo activity we're having right now. Relax Charters out of Morehead City. They say lay day today. This is Relax Charters. Said we saw some sails and got a bit of a handful of Wahoos. Another beautiful day in paradise. Captain Austin's Guide Service and Eco Tours, they say great 6-hour nearshore trip this morning. Several nice cobias, triggers, scups, beeliner, and a bonus mahi. Well, you can't ask for too much more than that. And this is really the only time we're hearing about cobia. Now, I want to make mention of this viewer, Ginger Zaremski. We actually showed her and her crowd last week a picture, but then she sent something in to me afterwards. She sent me a very long fishing report, but I had to edit it down again due to time. But this is what she says. Ginger says, "Hi, Bill. We've been watching your fishing report daily leading up to our trip, and you helped us ride that weather roller coaster right to a perfect day offshore. It looks like the weather's going to even out a little bit more this week. We chartered the Breakwater Water Charters out of Morehead City with Captain Ashley Forrest and mate Logan on July 8th. And let me tell you, we couldn't have asked for a better crew." Yay, I like hearing that. "We started the day with a medium blackfin tuna, first fish on the deck, and then things really took off. I was lucky enough to bring in my very first Wahoo, which weighed over 42 pounds, qualifying as a citation fish." Now, we got something real important to talk about this once at the end of this. It says, "It was the perfect way to celebrate my retirement on June 30th. Congratulations, Ginger. Fishing alongside me were my husband, Matt, and longtime friends, Terry, Sandy, and Ed. We ended up with a total of 5 Wahoo and 2 tuna, caught about 50 miles offshore. Also, a quick note, this is what I wanted everybody to hear. It says, for anyone else landing a citation fish, the new electronic registration process is definitely the way to go. We were told that the paper submissions only get processed about once a year. Now, kind of think about that. How would you like to fill out the paperwork? for your citation, and it takes a year for you to get any type of response back. So the electronic process works. She says even electronically, you can expect to wait up to 6 months, though, for the certificate to arrive, but totally worth it. A huge shout out to Captain Ash and mate Logan. They made the trip one to remember. Thanks again for your reports. Tight lines. Now, that was from Ginger Zaremski. Email me, billhitchcock@mail.com, billhitchcock@mail.com. You can be a charter boat captain, you can be a charter, you can be from a pier, anybody, everybody. Just if you got fishing report information, if you got pictures, if you got videos, email me, billhitchcock@mail.com. There's no restrictions. It just has to be saltwater related. If you're going crabbing, great. Oh, something else. And this probably will be more for the captains and guides and all. How-to stuff. Show us how to rig stuff. Show us what baits and rigs to use. Soft plastics, live bait, what is it? A popping cork or what? A hookup jig, a hookup lure? Those types of videos, just make them, send them to me. We'll air them right here because people really like that type of thing. Now, going to the southern portion of the state, Feel Good Fishing Charters out of Wilmington. They said, who says full moons are slow for fishing? Friday's fishing adventure blew that myth out of the water. Picture this, red drum charging, flounder flopping, sharks thrashing, plus sea bass, bluefish, and even a surprise octopus stealing the show. So, yeah, it's almost like a partridge in a pear tree. I love it when people have adventures. I love it when people go out and have fun, and I love it when you catch something you didn't expect you were going to catch, and you go, what the heck? But remember that, by the way. Remember where you were and how you got it. Now, Johnny Mercer's Pier, they got a video fishing report. Let's take a listen.
Hi, this is Matt Johnson for Johnny Mercer's Fishing Pier. I want to thank you for a wonderful 4th of July. We appreciate the support. This is a weekly fishing update. And as far as news to go into before the update, the Donnie Woods Flounder Fishing Tournament is going to be August 9th from 10 to 2. At this point in time, it is a catch and release unless the rules change about when you can keep them. As far as the fishing, big game fishing goes, we are seeing an occasional barracuda. We're not catching anything. They just don't seem to want to bite. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe it's just that time. Maybe we're coming off a full moon. I'm not sure. As far as the Spanish mackerel go, early's been decent. Mixing in a few bluefish on gotcha plugs, that's really been your best chance of catching some decent stuff. And late in the evenings, in the middle of the day, but mainly late in the evenings and at night, guys been catching a little everything, a ringtail here, a croaker there, you know, a spade fish, some other odd things, maybe even a bluefish on the bottom. Definitely not nicer at nights to fish as far as the weather goes. But remember, when you come to Johnny Mercer's Fishing Pier, size matters, you matter, and we look forward to seeing you at the pier. We thank you for your support.
We'll try to keep you updated about the flounder tournament. If it's going to be catch and release, catch and keep, we'll see. Too bad that the HB 442 didn't pass. It's going to give us a minimum of a 6-week season. But that's another story. All right, but he made comment about the barracuda kind of swimming around and not really catching anything. Well, guess what? Will Rivenbark, that's a good local name, hooks a 20.9-pound barracuda with a swim bait. Ian Walker assists with the gaff. Yay! Now a viewer sends this in. Jake Jacobs out of Ocean Isle Beach. He says, "Hey, Bill, my sister Patty came down from New York. I bought her a short-term fishing license, and we went out to the surf for some morning fishing. Most catches were small whitings on fresh shrimp until Friday when she pulled in this black drum on fresh shrimp. So congratulations, and you're a good brother for buying your sister a fishing license and taking her out fishing." There you go. The Jolly Roger Pier out of Topsail. Let's see, we got Josh and Thomas with a 26-inch drum. We're catching spots, mullet, sea mullet, spadefish, croakers, and drum with more action after dark than during the day. That seems to be happening a lot, and that's the second time I've heard of spadefish being caught anywhere. Finn Fisher Charters out of Supply, North Carolina, said battle some boat traffic for the 10th citation of the year. Caught and released on the Finn Fisher. Had a 7-pound, 10-ounce fish that was turned loose too. His secret location will be easily found. Go down the ICW, and when you see a little island that's pixelated, fish there. I'm teasing. Fish which charters out of, God almighty, somebody's got to complain. Fish which charters out of Carolina Beach. They said yesterday myself and Captain Parker ran a 12-hour bottom trip, catching limits of beeliners and red snapper. Also had 7 grouper and a couple of jacks. That looks like a lot of fish, a lot of fun, and a lot of eats for a long time period. Yay, that's also the type of thing I like to hear. Now, in the news department, need folks in the Neuse River area for fishing reports, whether you're out of South River, Merriman area, it doesn't matter if you're along the Neuse River all the way up into the New Bern area, Oriental. Need some folks, some reliable folks for some fishing report information. So if you got some, send it on in. Also, I wanted to bring this up because this actually happened to me about 3-4 days ago. Be careful of heat stroke. It was very bizarre for me. I was only outside for about an hour or so, and I started feeling dizzy, and I knew exactly what was going on, and I went and got in the shade and had some water. And also be very, very careful about heat stroke. And this little bit of news, a boat ramp is closed for repair on July 10th. The public boat ramp at Northeast 55th Street in Oak Island has been closed for repairs until further notice. Within the previous 24 hours of that, the main support piling for the floating dock was struck and damaged, creating unstable and dangerous conditions for the dock and the ramp itself, and obviously for people. If anyone has any information as to what happened, because they don't know what happened, would you please get up with a police department, the Oak Island Popo Police Department, and let them know. But it sure did look like a nice fishy place to go for trout, trumpet, and flounder. Just be safe out there in the water. Be safe out there in the sun. If you do feel a little bit dizzy, just, take the necessary precautions. We want to make sure everybody is safe and happy. Email me, billhitchcock@mail.com, with fishing report information, with your pictures, with your videos. Again, it's open to anybody and everybody, a bait and tackle shop, a charter boat, a pier. If it's your first time you've been fishing, it doesn't matter. Send that on in and just let us know what's going on. That's all the time I have for right now. I'm Bill Hitchcock. Until next time, see ya.